I am Ann Crutchfield. I am half of Good Stock Productions. We are an events company here in Stockton, and we love promoting all you entrepreneurs. Yay!
Yay! I am Amy Seifert, the other half of Good Stock Productions. Reason we're here today is our flagship event, Stock Market, which we hold near and dear to our hearts. The community festival promoting local small businesses and creative collaboration. Stock Market has not taken place this year for reasons I think we're all too familiar with, COVID, hashtag COVID. Anyhow, so we come to you live, and we had an entrepreneur virtual marketplace that just ended last weekend to support Stockton-based female businesses. The other part of that support, these webinars. So today we are finishing it out with tips on how to build an e-commerce site. And GoDaddy has been generous enough to donate 25 domain names and e-commerce site builders for 1 year. So thank you. And at the end of the hour, when we have tackled lots of e-commerce topics, we hope that those of you who are on, who've been vendors with the marketplace, the virtual marketplace, we hope to stay on because we would like to hear your feedback and your experience, and so we can just all continue to improve.
It's been quite the experience, I feel like.
It has. That's the word for it. I'm going to go ahead and promote Linda Adams to a panelist, as she is our GoDaddy expert.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Thanks
How's
for
everybody
being
doing today?
here.
Yeah, what? Thank you for having me. Yeah, excited to share this presentation with everybody and talk a little bit about making websites.
Yeah, it's being an entrepreneur is so layered like an onion. But this is one of the most important things I think everybody needs in their tool belt. So I'm glad that you're here today to help us walk us through some of the basics and give us some insider information.
Great. All right. Whenever you're ready, I can share my screen and we can get started.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. All right. Let me know if everybody can see that okay.
Yes.
Turn on presentation mode. Wrong one. There we go. Can you guys see that okay?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So today I'm Linda Adams. I'm from GoDaddy, and I'm going to talk to you all today about building an effective website. And we'll spend a lot of time thinking about your website goals and some tips and advice on how to think about the site's design to support your goals. So these are some of the topics that we'll cover. So we'll talk about how the best ways to think about and determine your site goals. Then we'll talk a little bit about how your design reflects your brand personality. And then we'll kind of recap with some tips and a few resources that you can use to get building, especially if you're going to be using some of our free codes that we are offering today to use GoDaddy.
Awesome.
So a little bit about me. So I'm a director of product management at GoDaddy. And what that means in my role, I actually lead several teams that work on the GoDaddy website. The teams that I oversee, they actually work on a few areas like setting up your products, managing your billing and account settings. And what's interesting is that some of the best practices and tips I'm going to share with you today are actually the same things that we follow at GoDaddy when we work on our website. So there's just some universal truths out there, I think, about design, website design. And just so you guys know, I listed here, I am a product design and user experience nerd myself. And so for those of you who not heard the term user experience, it's really the focus and study of how you make products or websites more usable and useful and delightful for your end users. And so I encourage all of you as we go through this presentation to think about your own website users and customers as you think about each of these things. Cool. And then just for everybody, I hope everybody's heard of GoDaddy, but just so you know, I mean, we've grown so much over the years. We're now powering 20+ million customers every day with their online presence needs, from domain names all the way to website builders, email marketing tools, and so on. So a lot that we offer. So
Wow.
Happy for if anybody's got questions at the end, me or Emily, I'm happy to talk about what GoDaddy has to offer.
Yeah, and I will just chime in and say, Good Stock Productions, we have 2 websites, one for stock market, one for our main event planning company, and you guys host both of our domains. Never once had an issue, so thank you.
Good. Glad to hear that.
We're happy customers.
Awesome. All right, so let's dig in. So, so when thinking about your website goals, it probably starts to think about why have a website at all. And so, these different factors, you mentioned COVID earlier, and they're more important now than ever to be online. And having a website is important for several different reasons. First, it's your brand. It's your brand's presence online. And it is the way that most people are going to find you if they've not heard of you before, and find out more about you and remember you. And it's another important factor is how much a website can lend credibility for your business. It really does help legitimize who you are in the eyes of the public. And then it's also a really important way to generate business. So a way for your visitors to become customers of yours. So I'm going to dig into each one of these points a little bit more in each of these slides here.
I think especially right now during COVID and these times, having a website, because we can't do face-to-face interaction, which a lot of us, I mean, Amy and I were both vendors at one point, and so selling your product is so hard when you don't have that face-to-face contact that you're used to. So having a website is that way to draw people in again and share your story and your products, because we can't do it any other way right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing, about getting customers to be able to find you and learn about you, a website is so important for that. We're all familiar with Google, and you think about your own shopping habits or search habits. Where do you turn to first? It's usually, Google, or in the instance of, some small businesses, you might be looking through Yelp or Facebook. And even if some of those sites do offer a way for customers to find out more about you, they'll often want to click through and see your own website and learn more about you that way. The other thing that's important is the domain name itself, because it's a great way for customers to remember you. And it's so much more easy to share that if you've got a succinct domain name that you can share with friends, or that your customers can share with their friends and family. It's so much easier to do that when you've got a memorable domain name.
Agreed.
Yeah,
it's all part of branding.
Absolutely. And then I mentioned credibility. So, for a lot of people, and especially now when the times are so uncertain, your website can really reassure your customers that your business is open and it's legitimate. And, and I think there's a lot of distrust sometimes in some of the social media sites, or like Yelp and things like that. And so I think this really can help reinforce, what your business is, what it stands for, and what you offer. And then we were talking about e-commerce and how important it is to have a way online for customers to actually do business with you. And so I think a lot of people you may believe this means taking payments online or things like that, or actually selling physical goods, but it's so much more than that. I mean, so it might be just the first step in the purchase process for your customers. Maybe it's making an appointment to see you, or maybe it's filling out a form with some contact information so that they can start working with you or start to learn more about you. So there's lots of ways that your site can turn those visitors into customers. So now we talk about your website goals. And, you know, there's a term we use a lot in the website biz is call to action. That's really thinking about what is the ultimate thing that you want your customers to do, your site visitors to do. And so it starts with thinking about the overall, what it is you're trying to accomplish with your site. And sometimes it starts with kind of a broad goal, and some examples here on the left column here, like advertise your business might be a broad goal, but think you're starting to ask why each, you know, you might have heard the technique called the 5 whys technique to really kind of distill the essence of your goal. And so you ask yourself, well, why are you advertising your business? Well, it's because I want them to be able to make an appointment with me. And so if that's the ultimate thing that you want them to do, that becomes your website's call to action. And the reason we want to know what that is because that's the thing that you want to make the easiest thing for your site visitors to find on your website. So that's often the big flashy button right there at the top of your website is the thing that you want them to do. So for example, if you want them to call you and make appointments, you may not want to bury your contact information on a page deep in your site. You want to put that up front. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, we talked about your goals and what some of the things that you are thinking about what you want your customers to do. Now we'll kind of steer into what you think, what you want your customers to feel with your website. And that's thinking about your brand's personality or your company's personality and your brand.
Linda, real quick, since we're about to talk about branding, in terms of website, branding is so important on its own. We had a whole webinar on that last month, and I think it's important to reinforce the website's importance when it comes to branding, because a lot of people say, well, I have my Facebook or my Instagram, and that's enough. But just the fact that you have a website at all gives you and your business credibility. Yeah. And then from there on, that credibility can be part of your brand, your business's personality, right? Or am I going on a tangent?
No, I think you're right. I think the credibility thing is important. And absolutely your social presence is a huge part of your brand. But think about like the open canvas that a website can provide in ways that you're limited more in social media. So especially in thinking about all the fewer limits that there are on content and color and imagery and things like that, it just gives you a lot more to work with to be able to, and it's just focused on you and your brand. Whereas the social media, there's lots of competing things in social media, right? So you get that one moment to be able to talk about yourself. Whereas I feel like you have that customer's full attention when they're on your website.
Yeah, I feel like an analogy would be like your Instagram is a photo album of you, but your website is you.
Yeah, that is a good analogy.
So they don't get to know the real you unless you have this fully built out. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the website is the real you. That's a great analogy. So when thinking about personality, I think, you know, we're all consumers of the web, so we all kind of have a good understanding probably of like how colors and images can make us feel. But there's actually some science behind some of that, right? So there's actually studies that show like certain colors will evoke certain emotions. Take the color blue, for example. It's a color that's used by so many different brands because it's often associated with calm and credibility and things like that. But even the shades of color like take the blue color blue, for example, can sometimes mean different things, right? So a lighter blue is more associated with the calm and cool and modern, whereas like a darker blue is a little bit more traditional or implies more confidence. So thinking about those things is important as you think about your brand. And then the images that reflect that, right? That's images that sort of are complementary to your brand colors, and then the images themselves and what message that they're conveying. Thinking about that and how that fits your brand personality. The other interesting thing about fonts is fonts can do a lot to convey sort of your brand personality, but it's also really important for the usability and readability of your site as well. So there's different types of fonts. I don't know how much people on this call know about types of fonts, but there's a couple main categories. One's serif fonts, the ones that have little feet, like the text here where it says brand personality. You can see the little feet that stick out at the bottom of each of those letters. Those fonts are typically associated with tradition and that sort of feeling of stability, where the sans serif fonts, the fonts that don't have little feet, like the ones here on our bullets, are typically considered more modern, more chic, and they're often much more readable on the web. So those are some things to think about too when you're choosing the fonts for your website.
I know
things that people don't even like consider when they're starting a business, like what kind of font or what colors they're going to use. That's not even like, it can all be so overwhelming when you're like starting out. So this is all great knowledge for beginners to start to realize that all of these things really matter. They're going to start making people feel these emotions or connections with the brand itself and you as a person.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the good news is a lot of, template builders and stuff that are out there, like the ones that we offer, will include sort of families of fonts and colors and things like that all kind of work together to convey a certain feeling. So it does make it a little easier. So you don't have to pick each and every one of those little things. It can often take some of that guesswork out of choosing the right look and feel for your website.
I know we have one person on the call, one of our guests who actually is a graphic designer. So this is probably right up her alley, Kelly.
Yeah, she can probably school all of us in these things.
But that's why their entire careers devoted to what you just said, font and color, and it's crazy. It all does matter.
Yep, definitely. So in thinking about the overall design, logos are really important, and it can be very easy to get carried away with logos. So we recommend simple logos to achieve more of a polished look. And then thinking about colors, that splash of color can complement the logo. And think about the images and the color that's used in the images right here. So in this example, you've got sort of some dark blue accent colors with the buttons and the footer, and then you've got sort of light blue colors in the imagery, and how well that complements one another. The other thing is about balance and white space. So you can see here, there's a lot of white space. It's breathable. It allows the text and content to stand out. And the images, they all look like they go together, again, because they're part of the same sort of color story. The other thing that's interesting is the use of icons here. So you see in that middle area where it says what we offer. So it's not just photos that are being used here, but they're also using, in this example, sort of illustrations or icons. And that can be another way to sort of break up and balance the overall look of your site. So we actually have a few examples here to walk through. And so just maybe thinking about this first one, some of the things that I think are good about this one is, one, it's very simple. You can clearly see the call to action on this website. They want you to follow them and go on this adventure with them. And it's just one simple image, so it does, your website doesn't have to be stuffed full of images. It can be very basic. And that's okay, because then it really helps your customers focus on what they need to do on your site. What do you guys think? Things that you like about this site? What do you?
It's right up my alley.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, I feel like it's like a younger font. It makes me feel like connected to it. It makes me want to go on a hike.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
I
feel
think
like, yeah.
I feel like the photo they chose and the placement of it with the colors surrounding, they're all mirroring each other. Because the photo they chose kind of gives you this tunnel vision, which makes you visualize what's ahead, what's in front of you. And if you look at where they put the photo and all the white space around it, it's all kind of like drawing you in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even the text on the button that says "Follow me," you've got this image of like somebody who's going to lead you down some path.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all kind of working together and complementing one another. I agree.
It's simple. It's very simple, but that's all they needed to do to grab your attention and convey the message.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sometimes less is more, depending on who you are.
Yep.
It makes you feel like you're there, like you want to go on this journey with her. Like yeah, let's go.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So this next one, and this is a good example that I think everybody should think about, is because this is a mobile example. So one thing I didn't mention earlier was about how important mobile is when it comes to your website. And I think most website builder and solutions that are out there can help you build a great looking mobile website at the same time you're building your desktop version of the site. And I think this one's an exciting one. So it's different than the other one in terms of the colors. They're bold and but it's still very simple, right? There's sort of one main call to action that they want to do. They want you to book online, but they also providing some more information about what they offer, and so they've got trainers who care. And that's it's a great piece of information to share. What do you guys think about this one?
I think this one also straight to the point. It's bold, and the colors and the photo with him showing action is basically just reinforcing what they say. The title, the heading is energize. It's a verb. Mm-hmm. And then the call to action on the button, that's a verb. It's all about movement and it's really about getting you to do something, but in I think the customer's mind, it's more motivational.
Yep.
Not just selling.
It's fast paced. I like it. It's like straight to the point. Like, let's do this. Like, I need this right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You mentioned something again, and thinking about to the previous example, the use of verbs in your buttons. So rather than like labeling the button information form, it's a verb. It's inviting you to take action.
Yeah.
So that's a good call out. Oops, went backwards. So here's another one. I'm hoping that one's is easy enough to see here. So this one's interesting. They're using a lot more imagery. There's a lot more content on this one than some of the previous ones that we looked at. But here is another good example of where the primary call to action, which is book an appointment, is right there in the center of the page. And it's almost like it's the second half of the sentence of find the perfect home project, book an appointment. Mm-hmm. So narratively, it reads really well together.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on this one?
I need to zoom in just a tad.
Yeah, apologies if that one's a little too hard to read.
No.
On Instagram feed.
Well, I like that they did something well here that I think is not always easy to do, is they're giving more information than the last two examples, where it's showing they do different things: real estate consulting, credit and legal assistance, find the right investment. So they do all these different things, and sometimes that can be hard to convey without confusing people and looking messy.
Or losing your audience. People are so fast to like be on to the next thing. So if you can't convey those in an interesting way or enough that it's like short enough that they're getting what you're saying, but like not going too far. It's a weird, it's a balance.
Balance.
Yeah.
And this is balanced because they've got their symmetry with the top and the bottom images, and it is all balanced, even though it's funny because they're trying to find a balance, and it's visually balanced.
It's very clean. It's streamlined. Yeah.
Yeah, it is clean. Yeah, it's another example of where the colors used in the photos sort of complement the colors used in the button colors or the text colors. Yeah, I think it's good that they put the call to action above the content where they talk about each of their offerings, because somebody may not get to reading all of those things, but at the very least, if they're interested in finding their next perfect home project, there's enough information there that they could click through.
Yeah.
And something like where if your business is like, again, doing real estate or helping with home improvements or things like that, like showcasing like your great design work, like if this was a project that they actually did for a client, this is like a really good example of something very, very well done and stylish.
It is. That particular issue is something that we've had a challenge in the past with, because we do event planning, all different types of things, and you don't want to lose your customer, like Anne said. So having that balance, that took a little bit of time to find, but hopefully we're there. You guys tell me what you think if you look at our website.
All right, I got one last example here. Yeah. Hopefully get you hungry for dinner time if it's close to dinner time for you. So here's another good example of sort of a balance of colors, not too many competing colors, but you've got colors that are complementary in the photo and in the button colors. I think this is an example where they're not using a verb in their call to action, but it's pretty clear that, like, if it's a food website, one of the top things a customer is going to want to do is look at the menu, and there's no confusion on what that button's going to give you when you click on it.
Yeah.
If there was one thing that I would criticize about this one, it's that on the photo in the background, the text overlay might be a little hard to read because the white on white colors can sometimes be challenging. So that is something you should think about as you're choosing the background photos on some of your pages. Make sure that the text is still readable.
Yeah. I think my take on this is, it's interesting. I think they took a risk using that photo because it's a black bun. Is it gray? And at first you could think, oh my gosh, what is that? Like, you're going to lose people. But the heading reinforces it. And for me personally, it's so interesting that I would want to know more. The rest of it looks delicious. It's just a different color. So I think it's so interesting. I would click menu. It sets them apart.
I think food is so interesting in general. I mean, I feel like puppies, food, kids, those are like the things that people gravitate towards. And in our experience, we've worked with so many food vendors, and some of them just have no idea how to photograph their food. Just no idea. And it's like, would you personally want to eat it? Like, what makes you want to go to a place? What makes you jump to action? What makes you go to a place or click on the menu and want to know more? I really like this photo. I would want to know more about the bun.
Yeah, because even if it's an unusual color, it's still like, it's just so tangible, right? Because of the quality of the photo and the close up, the macro shot of it. So you can see all the juices from the food. Yeah, it looks good. It's dinner time almost for me. Cool. So now looking back through all the slides, I just kind of wanted to recap some of the tips that we talked about. The first obvious one, the first impressions matter. Even as we were looking through those examples, we saw that each one of those conveyed a different kind of first impression, even before we started reading the content or what the buttons said, or even the pictures were trying to tell us. So think about that when you're working on your site. Obviously, simple is better. The less that customers have to think about to use your site, the better. So really think about what's the most essential thing most essential information and the most essential sort of things that you want to provide them in terms of what they can do, what they can choose from on your site. Makes it more user-friendly. Definitely want to make sure it matches your brand identity. So think about the overall look, the colors, the images, the fonts, and how that all comes together, but without forgetting about readability and usability. Balance is really important. So balancing the white space, the images and text so that it can all work together and not feel too crowded or busy. Be careful with the logos, or sorry, be intentional about the images that you're choosing and making them coordinate. Again, thinking about colors and how they balance with one another, especially photos that are right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and again, your logo. So a simple logo does convey polish and professionalism. And then this last point, you know, when I was at the beginning talking about user experience and making great sites for your users and your customers, get feedback. This is something that, you know, again, communities like this one can be really helpful, but also your friends and family and people who represent your target customer, asking them to give your website a test drive and get some feedback. Are they able to find the content that they need? Are things readable? Make sure that there's no errors, things like that. And then just ask if the website fits your overall brand. That's something that we do at GoDaddy. We ask our customers and potential customers for feedback, and we ask them to try our site and test it out for us, because we want to make sure it's working exactly as it's supposed to and conveys exactly what it needs to. So I recommend that for everybody.
Yeah, I think when you get so involved in creating something, it's important to take a step back, because you don't you're like, okay, I need someone else to new eyes on this, because a lot of people spend so much time creating this thing, and then new eyes is always a good thing.
Yeah.
Especially when you're selling a service or a product, you want those new eyes. So it matters how you're coming across to them.
Yep. So, and definitely you show it to friends and family, like pick the ones that are honest.
Yeah.
That won't hold back. Okay.
So go ahead.
No. Was there something about one of these tips you wanted to talk about?
I was just going to say, if time allows on this webinar, and I'm literally just throwing this out there, I wonder if we could do some live website views and kind of like talk about the pros and cons and where people maybe can improve or what we like the best. I mean,
absolutely.
I don't know if anyone wants to volunteer theirs. We would volunteer ours if we just want to talk more about examples, but those of you who are here, let us know in the chat if that would be interesting to you, or if you want to volunteer yourself. But we can go on to the next. You had another coming up.
Yeah, I was pretty much coming to the end here. So we do have some resources at the end. So if you are if you're already using GoDaddy's website builder or plan to use it, we've got some links here that will walk through a lot of the details that I shared with you in this presentation to help you get successful setting it up and managing how your website reflects your brand. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to answer some questions, or like you said, if somebody wants to be a guinea pig and get to, have an open conversation about, website best practices, happy to do that.
So are there any mistakes that you see people make that are pretty common? Like if you're first building your website, are there things that maybe it's a really common thing to overlook or not be aware of?
Mm-hmm. I think, that there's, sometimes I see people making maybe too many pages. A lot of times when you think about the most essential needs that your customers have, not making them have to click through so many different pages to get to the information or really understand the essence of what you're offering. So I would think, again, strategically about how many different pages you really need to really tell your full story or provide the different things that you're offering to your customers. Like a good example is the menus and stuff like that, right? So in that first example, or in one of the examples, right, you've got that link front and center to the website or to the food menu. But there's so many sites, and you probably have all personally experienced this, right? So many sites where like something so essential as the menu for your restaurant, if somebody has to click like 3 times to get to that, that's not a good idea.
They're not going to.
Yeah, exactly.
As few clicks as possible.
Yeah, if the terms aren't defined enough, if you're looking at a menu and you're just confused about where the subject you're looking at, you should even go, and you have to like go through all these different things to find what you're looking for. Yeah, that can be.
And I see a couple people just joined us on Instagram Live. Hello. We're letting you know that right now, if you're interested, GoDaddy has offered to give a free website review live. So let us know in the Instagram comments or here in the chat.
So we do have a question in our chat. How do you get more hits to your website?
Yeah, so I think one of the first, we were talking about social media earlier, right? So linking your website to all the places that you already are online is a huge and important thing to drive more traffic to your website. And it's a good signal to Google as well when they're starting to crawl your website, looking at all the links that are pointing back to your website. It's really important to help with ranking. And then when you think about your website content, using the kinds of keywords that your customers might be using when they're searching is another really important tactic when you're writing the copy on your or the text that's on your website. Make sure that you're using some of those important words so that when Google crawls your website, that it can then use that to index your website for those keywords.
I have a personal experience story really quick on that. For our stock market website, we created the website a long time ago, and it's really easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day and kind of forget to refresh it until you need something because, you have some special event, and it's easy to let it go. There was a time when I decided, I'm going to refresh this. And I started thinking in terms of what a customer or what an attendee of the event would be searching for. If I go to Google and I want to go to some festival, what do I search for? So if you think of the terms that they're going to search for and then you work that into the copy of your website, it's going to come up, right? Mm-hmm. And I noticed when we started getting some more hits, people were searching those keywords that I finally started using. So I think it's all about putting yourself in your target market's shoes for the organic growth, right? Or is there?
No, I think you're spot on there. Yeah. Again, starting with your user, starting to think about your customers and how they would find you. And again, like if you're in a specialized industry or something like that, there may be specific, social sites or forums or things like that are where your customers already are, thinking about how you might be able to get your site, either listed there or talk about it there or create, connect your site to, whatever social presence you have in those forums, things like that.
So once you create a website and you have it, how often do you recommend updating it or changing photos or something so that when people come back to it, maybe it's like new content or they're seeing something new? How often do you recommend that people kind of shake things up a little bit on their websites?
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a specific rule of thumb for that. I do kind of going back to what we were just talking about, which is thinking about your users and how often think about your ideal user and how often that they should come to your website. That might be a good barometer for how often you update it, right? So if it's something like, let's say your site is more of a seasonal thing, right? Like maybe you offer some sort of travel related service, and it's like something that you get much more traffic around summertime or leading up to summertime. Maybe then you want to make sure that you've got lots of fresh content in those January and spring months, or winter and spring months, where people are starting to think about making plans for the summer and things like that. So that would be what I would recommend. But there may be some other tactics out there that GoDaddy recommends that I'm not as familiar with, but
that makes sense to think ahead. Like when you go to the store in December, January, and you already see swimsuits out. It's because people are thinking ahead. They're tired of the cold and they want to get ready for their spring break or whatever.
Yep.
So we actually have a volunteer for a live website review if we'd like to do that now.
Okay. I'll stop sharing. I don't know how you wanted to do that, but
see, I can pull it up on my end, wildjules.com. So thank you, Julie, for volunteering. Let me pull up her website. And Wild Jules Seed Balls is one of the vendors that we had selling on our virtual marketplace. So, okay, I've got our website up. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Okay, let me just make that bigger. All right. So, where do we want to start? Well, I know where I'm at.
Yeah, and it's obviously you've got these beautiful photos of flowers and plants, so it's definitely clear sort of what business this is all about. So let's maybe read some more here. Yeah. So here's, she calling out falls around the corner, right? So there's some content that's timely. That's good. I would say one thing that's standing out to me right at the moment, which is the call to action. So what is really the main thing that she wants us to do on this site? Are we buying something? We're going to buy the seed balls. I would expect to see more of a link or a button that invites me to explore maybe the things that we could buy from her.
So maybe more of a clear call to action. Buy now or shop now or
shop now. Yeah, that always gets me.
Maybe latest products or so. I mean, we've got all the information. We know where we're at. We know what they are. We know why they're beneficial. But yeah, in order to convert the user, I'm just looking at the website. In order to convert it into a customer, I'd say make it easier for them to find how to shop. So can they buy directly from your site? If you want to put that in the chat, Julie. And I'll just click around. Maybe it's this.
Yeah, I'm thinking web store might be where you could go and buy something.
Okay. Here we go.
Yeah, and here we go. We've got some products to sell, and it looks like they've got some pretty packaging. And yeah, I mean, you could even if there's like one of these products that's a bestseller or one that you're promoting right now, maybe even having a link to that right there on your first page, on your front page, might be a good idea.
Okay, so what I did was I clicked on poppy, and here we have different varieties of poppies. It looks like she's showing us where they do well, what the actual name is, describing them, and then I'm assuming if I click back down to the individual package, I'll have the option to buy different types of flower seed balls. Let's see.
There we go.
Okay, yeah, and then here we have poppies.
Yeah, and I think in that previous page, you had all the information about poppies, and then like the place where you click to actually go buy was at the bottom. Is that right?
Let's go look again. No. something's slowing down here. Oh, here we are.
Yeah, it's all the information and then click to buy at the bottom.
Right. So
Yeah.
so that
So this
should
is-
be not at the bottom.
Yeah, I would recommend maybe putting that at the top, and then you can still have all the information about the poppies, because this might actually be great for SEO purposes.
Mhm.
Because all this content can be helpful if people are searching and wanting to learn more about poppies, and then they maybe stumble upon this page and say, "Oh wow, I could actually buy these seeds and spread poppies throughout these areas." So yeah, I would find a way maybe to get those links to purchase towards the top of the page.
And the people that really want to know the information are going to look for it. They're the kind of people that will scroll and do the things. But for people who are just trying to buy it because they're like, oh, this is really cool, I want this, they're looking for the quick sell, not reading through all the information.
What I would suggest maybe, and I'm not an expert, but is perhaps making each of these clickable that take you back to the shop page. So no matter where they look, you can tell that there's a clickable link that'll direct you back to go shop. I think make it as easy as possible to get people back to the page where they buy.
Yeah, because if you go back to that purchase page, because you could buy each of those specific colors, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I agree that if there was a way to link from, like if you were looking at the orange poppies, to link directly to the to an orange poppy package.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Or at the that would be ideal if you clicked on orange poppy and it went right to that one. But at the very least, if it went back to this, where they can then select the one they want.
Yeah.
That seems like it would be straightforward enough to edit. Do we want to look anywhere else on this site?
Sure, we can continue to explore. I think we found some good ideas.
I'm gonna go back to the home page, and I see some things that I like, and then one thing that I personally would try to scale down on, and this is just me. I love that she has different colors of the font, and she's got different font sizes, and she's got bold and she's got regular, because that creates visual interest and draws your attention to where she wants it to go. I feel like maybe, is there a way to say this a little more succinctly? It just looks like a lot, and it's easy to lose people's attention. That's
just break it up a little. Yeah.
Yeah. Where else?
And I'm just being like super nitpicky. I feel like Amy, I don't know if you're catching this too. If you go down a little bit, the Facebook and Instagram is to the side and not to the middle. And there's just like little small tiny things.
Put it here.
Put it there. So it's like right in their vision line. Like if they have to like, even like side to side, just put it like right in front of them.
Yeah, I agree. Especially if social is really important for marketing and talking to your audience for Wild Jewels, then I would say for sure make that a little bit more prominent.
Let's go over here. Is Julie chatting at all? Is she saying anything in the chat? I can't see right now.
I don't think so.
Okay. Let's take a look at her landscape side of her business.
Again, a lot of information in one
spot.
Yeah.
Now, what I would wonder, if I knew nothing about Wild Jewels, I might think, okay, I can buy seed balls, I can find her at events in person, I can find her stuff in stores, and oh, she does landscaping. Great. Yeah. But when I click here, I'm actually wondering, does she do landscaping, and how do I get a hold of her is this just informational, or is this offering a service?
Yeah. And instead of like the map, maybe an example of landscaping. like what it actually looks like with the flowers or someone's backyard or something that is very visual.
Do we have someone in the chat giving any?
Yeah, it looks like there's a question about rule of thumb on numbers of fonts and colors. I would say, so we have, I guess it depends on how many levels of content. I would say if you can get down to sort of like one font that's sort of like your bolder accent font, like you might use that for your headings and things like that, and then pick another font for your primary font for all your body copy and kind of stick to that, and not, I would say much more than like 3 would be too much. And then you can sort of strategically use that to sort of break up some of the sections with your sort of the like the level 1 font.
Yes, the different sizes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is, so Julie's bringing up an important topic about her audience. So this is a good point, right? So if she's catering to plant nerds, then this might be super valuable to that audience. So that's an important thing to keep in mind.
So, Julie, are you offering a landscaping service?
She says I don't advertise landscape design, just informational.
Okay, I see. Well, then this makes sense. It is informational. Okay.
Yeah. So the seed balls explained and the landscape restoration, those are both sort of informational things. So maybe grouping those things together as and maybe describing them more as sort of a learn more about seed balls and landscape restoration as one sort of content hub within the site might be more effective.
So maybe she could combine those 2 tabs into just one tab, and then when you're on that page, maybe they could click away to go learn about landscaping or learn about seed balls.
Yeah, maybe that's one way of doing it.
Okay. Awesome. Is there anybody else that is volunteering?
Thank you, Julie, for
yes, thanks.
being our brave soul.
Thank you for being a guinea pig.
I hopefully found that helpful.
You said adding a live chat option for garden consultation. That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
I love that.
So all the nerds can get together.
Yeah. Oh, well, do we want to, let's see, do we have any other questions? Or do we want to volunteer ourselves up as a guinea pig in the next couple of minutes?
That's up to you. Do you want to?
What do you think, Linda? Do you have time?
Yeah, I've got time. So if you want to bring your website up, we can talk about it.
Let's do that for a few minutes, and then we actually had extended today's, so we have a little more time at the end. If any of our vendors pop in at the last minute, we were gonna just do a quick recap on this whole project. But for now, I will bring ours up, and hopefully it's not too painful. Should we do the Good Stock website or the stock market website, Anne?
Let's do Good Stock. It seems more, well, it's been updated recently.
It has. This will actually help us. Okay, so here we are.
Oh, we got some video. Nice.
Have video.
Well, since you're a production company, that's probably a good thing, right? To be showcasing some of what you do, right?
Is it confusing? Does this say that we do videography? Because we don't.
Okay, well, I guess in a way I don't know, because video can be so important. It's not just about like you offer video, but since I am not totally familiar with what you guys offer, tell me a little bit more about what you do offer, and maybe that'll help explain, or maybe that might help with the feedback.
Can you tell what we do from the video?
I could not 100%,
Okay.
So if it wasn't doing videos, then maybe are you doing weddings and events and things like that?
You got it.
Okay. All right. So yeah, second try, I got it.
Okay. So I'll just go page by page.
Hmm.
This is
Very nice.
if I'm scrolling too fast, tell me.
Yeah, no, this is good. Yeah, I think your About Us page is pretty strong. You know, the you've got a good balance of white space. You've got your images. You know, the color story is very similar. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything bad to say about that. Yeah. Question on the home, like you know, in the presentation we talked about, you know, your goals and your call to action. When somebody does visit your site, what's kind of like the one thing you would hope they do? Do you want them to call you to make an appointment?
I think the most people would look at our website to look at our portfolio because we do weddings and events. So a lot of people want to see what you've done before. So they'll look at other weddings you've done, or I think that's a big reason people, or maybe the services to get prices or see what we actually do offer package wise.
Yeah, that's what I would say too. I want them to go look at our portfolio to see our experience and then look at services to see what we actually do. So the portfolio will show them visuals and this will tell you what we do. So I don't, maybe should we rearrange these tabs or have it more clear on the homepage?
Yeah, I would say maybe having a button on the homepage to see your portfolio of events, or you know, see some of our happy clients or something like that
So
on the homepage.
when you're here, the tabs show. Oh, and now the video. Oh, there we go. The tabs are here, but that's just if they look up.
Yeah, because the tabs, they're sort of equally weighted when you think about them.
Yeah.
I mean, you could change the order, but there's since the tabs are all the same size, there's nothing that says like go here first.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if there's, like here where it says we do events, I'm wondering if you could overlay that text on your video and then have a button on there that says see our portfolios. Almost this page right here that you're seeing, if you could maybe bring that together with your homepage, that might be a good way to really suck your users in when they visit your homepage.
Okay, that makes sense. This one is under construction, so if you click it, there's nothing there yet. This one is, I don't know how in depth we want to go, but you talked about not having too many pages. We have a lot of pages.
Yeah, I think with something like a portfolio, right? That when I think about too many pages, I think like at that sort of top level, like where you have like your different sections. That's where I feel like people might get tripped up, right? Where they would want to have like 20 different links in their menu.
Yeah.
For example, where you guys do have a small number of clear categories there. So I think that I wouldn't consider this to be too many pages, especially because a portfolio by necessity is going to have a lot of different pages to really illustrate sort of the breadth of your offerings.
Okay. Should I click over?
I'm interested on the calendar. Does that show sort of your availability and stuff?
The calendar is for our public events.
Okay.
So things coming up, and honestly, there's nothing coming up for a while because of COVID. So it also shows things that we have done that have passed. We could deactivate those, but we chose to leave them up just so people can get an idea of what we did.
Yeah, I think having past events is a good thing to give people an idea of what you guys offer.
But I don't know if that's confusing because, like you said, is that for them to book us, or maybe there's better verbiage instead of calendar? I don't.
Yeah. I was thinking like events or event calendar or something like that, maybe
Mm-hmm.
might convey it better. And again, I'm only one person, so you can always ask, again, people who fit sort of your target audience and see if they kind of walk away with the same idea.
Well, if anyone in the chat has suggestions, we're all ears.
But yeah, I would say like overall, like when you think about events, like you want, um, you think about like sort of your personality and taste and sort of how beautiful you can make the event or how special you can make it feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel like your site conveys like that high quality, that it's, again, seems well designed, thoughtfully designed, again, good use of photography and stuff like that. So definitely want to give you guys kudos for that, because it looks very credible, and like totally would do business with you guys to plan an event.
Well, let us know. This is an important page because like we want them to click on services,
Mm-hmm.
because we want to service them.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say anything else. Does this page, does it get them to click on things, or what do you see?
Yeah, so if you scroll back up, I want to see if that event services menu is visible at the top. So see how that button hangs off the page?
Yeah.
That's another one where like anytime you do have like a viewer portfolio or viewer event menu or something like that, above the fold is a term that we use a lot I know you probably heard that too, or if it's mobile in the viewport.
No, I've never heard that. That's
yeah. So anytime you've got like a really important call to action, you want to make sure that that's visible on the screen as soon as somebody lands there, because we talked earlier about how impatient people can be sometimes when they're visiting websites, and if they have to scroll and find that kind of stuff, then they might give up before they get a chance to get to it.
Yeah. Good point. And now that we're talking about it, this does not have a verb or a call to action.
Yeah.
So if we want them to click here, it doesn't tell them to click there.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's more like see our services or something like that.
Mm-hmm. That's this page.
Okay.
These are clickable. I don't know that people would know that because they're black.
Is that the same thing as the event services menu?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I would say, redundant links can sometimes, it's just more competition for the attention of that user when they land on your page. So if they could find all of that in that button, or if you wanted all three of those are really distinct offerings, representing those as three different buttons. Remember that website that we looked at that had it was like the home services company, and they had for like the three little rectangles that sort of displayed like, here's the three main things that we offer. Mm-hmm. And so if there's really kind of like three distinct things that you guys offer, maybe that you have three different buttons, or you have like a section on this page, maybe with like, here's all we offer, three things, and then people can kind of choose from there.
The balance. I like that. Okay, well that's that. Should we click anywhere else, or?
It's up to you. So I mean, happy to continue to help. But I mean, if others have questions or they feedback, I know you invited them to drop comments in the chat. So I don't know.
I would love to hear more people's questions or feedback. But well, while we're here, I'll click on this one last one and tell me what you think of this. Is there too much going on? Because we have two contact forms on one page.
Oh, interesting. Is there a reason there's two different ones?
They ask for different information because there are different events.
Okay.
So this one is specifically designed for if you're getting married.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is for just a different special event.
Okay.
But is that confusing?
I'm wondering if there's a way to make it more of a dynamic form, so that way, because there's probably a few things that are the same across both forms, right? So like your name and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the part where you're kind of asking them what type of event is it, if they choose wedding, then you can sort of open up more fields that are specific to weddings.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's one of the other event types, then you can just leave it at those two things there. So I don't know if that's something that you've explored, but I know that's, when we work on forms on like our site, for example, we call them dynamic forms, right? So based on the response of like one of the fields, it might reveal more fields underneath. And so to the person visiting your site, in their mind, there's just one form to deal with, and then you handle the logic in the form.
I'll have to look and see if the forms have that capacity. But yeah, you're right. That's much more user friendly than they're like, which one do I fill out?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of sort of user experience science around forms. And, if there's any way to shorten that form, it can really help with getting more people to finish filling it out too. So think about the things that, would you be able to get that information in that first call with them? How much of that is really essential for them to fill out now versus when you actually follow up with them?
I see that Julie has a question. We can have time to get to that. She said, do you have any recommendations on how to get backlinks to my website from external websites?
I mean, is this thinking about like getting other people to send? This is sort of an area that's a little bit more outside my expertise. I'll be honest. I know there's some strategies about if you provide links to other sites that can there can be sort of that reciprocal, getting them to link back to your site. I think that's one strategy that some people do. But I don't know if other people that are in the meeting have had any luck with backlinks or any different tactics that they've tried, or if you guys have.
I would say, and it's not exactly the same exact vein, but for example, when we do events and we work with all different types of vendors, the photographer and the caterer and the venue, when on social media specifically, we tag each other. There's all this cross promotion. So if you could do that, it's basically the same thing, just you're talking about on a website.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, maybe giving complimentary product to a very select group of companies or publications that would use your product and then post about it. Maybe that. There's something else that I watched recently. I forget her name, but this woman swore by blogs, writing a blog, and as long as it had a relevant keywords, it kept getting reshared by all these other sites. So those are just two different creative ways.
Yeah, I mean, definitely creating content, right? Because it creates more links that can be shared, right? So if you are blogging, right, and then be able to share that on social, and some things might be able to take off and provide more links back to your site.
Well, we're just about at 15 after. I think if there's no other questions, maybe Linda, can you tell us any information on how folks can use those, the free domain that you're giving and the e-commerce builder?
Yeah, so I think that Emily had provided some instructions.
Yeah, we have them.
Yep.
But is there any user tips that you want to throw out there?
I would say if once you get started and you've picked your domain and website, make sure you link those two together. That's a step that you need to do to make sure that that domain's being used with your website before you publish it. And then, and just think about it. I would say one thing, don't be afraid to publish. I think a lot of people they start to get freaked out about hitting that button. And I think it's okay if there are still some things that you want to do, but if you've got sort of, your homepage and you've got some of the basic information out there, the sooner that you can sort of get it into the wild, the sooner that you can get Google to index it, and you can start to share it with friends, family, potential customers to start getting feedback. Yeah, that's it's something that we follow as well, and in our field, the sooner you can get something out there, the sooner that it can start adding value, and you can start benefiting from it. So I encourage people to not be afraid to hit that publish button.
I think we've said it like a bunch of times throughout the webinar. Don't think, do, because once you start overthinking everything, you get blocked and you stop and just do.
Yeah.
Hit that button, publish it.
Yep, that's a great advice.
I know it's kind of counterintuitive to some of the things we're saying, like font matters and how much white space. Like we're hyper analyzing everything because it all does matter. But to a point, there is a point to where you can just keep tweaking it over and over for weeks and months and scare yourself out of it. Yeah. And that's why it's important to get everyone else's some trusted colleagues or friends' opinions, and once it's good. Yeah, don't let the perfect be the enemy of good. No. Yeah, totally. And I think you guys are spot on there. Just get something out there. And the beauty of the web is that it's a living thing. Like it doesn't, like if you get it out there and you make a mistake, you can fix it and republish, right?
And or tell you if you've done something wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Let you know.
Yeah. So it can evolve, right? And so you'll probably change your site many times over the course of your entrepreneurial journey, right? So again, don't be afraid to get it out there, in the earliest state, because you'll have opportunities to continue to improve it and add to it as you go.
Yeah. Well, if it's not out there, they can't find you.
Exactly.
That's the most important thing. Awesome. Well, okay. So on that note, we talked about the e-commerce builder and the free domain that they will be giving away for anyone here with us. We have that information. We're going to send that to you. We'll send it to you along with the link of today's video. So expect that tomorrow afternoon sometime. And it will go out also to any of the other vendors within the Stockton Strong Marketplace who couldn't be with us today. They'll also get it. So thank you guys for providing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, and I think now it would be great to take a few minutes if those who are with us would like to give us some feedback on the Stockton Strong Marketplace itself. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the experience. And Linda, you're welcome to stay or take off if you need to. Totally up to you.
Okay, I'll stick around for a few minutes just in case.
Yeah. So who's still out there? Let's see. Where's the participant list? We've got a couple.
Julie's been with us the whole time.
He has. Julie's been a trooper. Well, what is your take, Julie? Did your audience grow? Would you do it again? Anything we could improve on? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
I don't know if you read any of the surveys that we got back, but overall, I think people, I think one of the biggest things was their audience grew through the Stockton Strong Marketplace.
Great.
And I think that a lot of people got a lot of good out of the webinars, especially marketing and branding. That's such a hard topic. It's so broad. It can go on forever, and we just like scrape the surface of it. So I'm thankful that people got a lot of knowledge that they can use moving forward, especially with e-commerce. The holidays are coming up and people want to buy things and they want to be able to create a site and have a space that's theirs. So I think all these topics are so important for anyone trying to start a business or grow their business. You never stop learning. I've learned a lot from it.
Same here. Yeah, it's we've said it before. It's so easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day, just running your business, making the sales, in life in general. It's so easy to forget to, update your website, or kind of take a step back and look at how far you've come and appreciate that, and two, where do I want to go? And maybe that's updating your business plan, or finally thinking about financing. Like some of the different things we covered, it's really easy to just get overwhelmed and get bogged down with life. But taking the time, this is the health of your business. So hopefully, it sounds like people did get something out of it. Hopefully they did, and more will continue to, since these videos will live on. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take it that no one has questions or comments today. I'm going to take that as a good thing. Oh, wait, we have one.
She's just been struggling to push her online sales. Her product caters to a few people, need to reach further.
Yeah. Well, Julie, you have a kind of a niche product, which maybe that's a challenge in some ways. But I think once you get I feel like there's more opportunity for success, because who else does what you do? It's just tapping into that. And you don't want to be just like everybody else, because they could get that anywhere. So getting yourself in front of those few.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in and just say that it's such an interesting thing that I never even realized existed, right? To be able to, to buy these seeds and be able to sort of spread them, around and be able to make the world more beautiful. Like that's such a cool thing. And I think there's, I think a lot of getting on social media and blogging and sort of sharing the message, and then just showing sort of the how easy and inexpensive it is to play a part in such a thing that can touch so many other people, by making the world around us more beautiful. And I think that's a pretty cool message, and I think a lot of people would love to hear it.
Yeah, I just had an idea, Julie, and I don't know if this helps in any way, but I feel like your product would be a very unique wedding favor. The packages are super cute as they are, and if someone was, that's what they do as a career, they're a landscaper or they're a florist or whatever, or it just fits in with the whole vibe of their wedding, like very aesthetically pleasing. That would be maybe a new market to tap into. And I think something like that is what we always have to tell ourselves and remind others, is to think outside the box. Maybe something that worked for the last 2 years isn't working anymore. Maybe because the world changed, or people have seen your product for the last 2 years and maybe now they want something different. So keep staying consistent but fresh. That is also a balance. I feel like that is the theme with these, is balance. She says, I've been sending out to catalogs more, especially since we've been, yeah. You're doing it, Julie. I mean, we're all trying to. Well, we had a great time. Yeah. Thank you, Julie.
Thanks, everyone. All our experts. It's been a time.
It's been a time, and this year has been a time, a very interesting time. I'm glad we've taken the time to reflect on our small businesses and do what we can to support them. And at the same time, it's helping us to learn things or go back to things we forgot about. So all in all, I'm going to give it a positive. Thank you to all of our experts, all the folks who came on to share your time and your knowledge. It's been hugely appreciated. So thank you, Linda.
You're welcome, and thanks for having me. It's great to be a part of an organization like this and helping others.
Yeah. Well, we can't wait to see what folks do with all this information once it soaks in. Just a reminder to anyone who's still with us, this is the last webinar. The virtual marketplace has ended, but all of this will live on our YouTube page, and we're going to send out links to everyone. So if you want to rewatch it or share with anyone you know, growing entrepreneurs, please do so. Please do so. And Linda, how can they find you? Can they get a hold of you if they need to, if they have questions?
Yeah, I am on LinkedIn, so should be pretty easy to find if you just search Linda Adams and find the one that works at GoDaddy. So that's one way to reach me. I'm not super active on Twitter, but I am there. But I would say LinkedIn's a good way to connect with me. And yeah, I'd love to meet some of the folks who were on this call and get to know them better.
And just a reminder on how to find us. I think that the ladies who are with us know how to find us, but anyone else who watches this in the future, Goodstock Productions. We're an events company, and we are at Goodstock CA on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we've had a great time. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Well, have a good night, and
Bye.
See you all soon.
thank you.
Good night.
Bye.